afternoon and welcome to Dishing with Patricia. Today's special guest is Kim Hall-Jackson, a patient education and collaboration consultant for the Colorectal Cancer Alliance. Kim, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
It's our honor to have you. So Kim, let's jump right in and tell us what you do and what is your association with the Colorectal Alliance, please.
Absolutely. So my current position as a patient education collaboration consultant came about because I volunteered with this organization because I am a survivor of colorectal cancer. I was diagnosed in 2008. Initially, I was diagnosed as stage 1. After I had surgery and a temporary ileostomy, I had an appointment and they restaged me to stage 3. So when you're stage 1, the diagnosis and the prognosis was very good. You need to have the surgery to remove the tumor. You'll have a temporary ileostomy. We'll reverse that and you go back to life as normal. Much to our surprise, the tumor had shown that there was some lymph node involvement. I was restaged to 3, and then I had to deal with the task of figuring out chemo and radiation. I'm pretty sure I got 4 opinions before I decided to do the chemo and radiation at the University of Penn. Although I had my surgery at Hahnemann University, I did my chemo and radiation at the University of Pennsylvania. So I was diagnosed in 2008. I did treatment in 2009. And after I completed my treatment, I learned that African Americans and other communities of color have a higher mortality rate for colorectal cancer. And I knew I had to do something. I knew I had to be involved as an advocate and offer as much support and information as I could about my journey.
Right. So let's back up.
Sure.
What happened that started you on the journey of discovering you had cancer? Yes, tell us.
So my career is events and event management. I was actually working the inauguration of Michael Nutter, the first term.
Okay.
I was working at an event. It was on the Naval Yard, and I saw something that wasn't right when I went to the bathroom.
Okay.
Initially, I was not afraid, but I just knew something wasn't right. I contacted my primary, my GYN. I said, hey, I saw something. It didn't look okay. What do you think I should do? They both thought that it was nothing. I'm 45 years old, African American, I'm female. I was probably in the best shape. I was doing African dance. I'm a pescatarian. I'm a mother of 6. I mean, I was I was busy, active life, working in event management. So after a few tests to eliminate some of the obvious, like hemorrhoids or something I've eaten or a tear, a fissure, or anything like that, then they said, okay, we'll go with the colonoscopy.
I was going to ask you because of your age.
I had to push for it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had to push for the colonoscopy.
Okay.
But they had to rule out some of the other things before that came. I think it may have taken about 8 months before I got the actual colonoscopy.
So the journey started, let's say,
January of 2008.
And it took until November, September of that?
Yep, before I actually had the test.
Why?
Because you had to make the appointment with the primary, I had to make the appointment with my GYN, and I had to then go see a GI, a gastroenterologist, and then they gave you a prescription for the colonoscopy. It was a hard push. The person, I think my gynecologist, who had been my doctor for years, said, it's not a level playing field when it comes to colonoscopies and colon cancer with African Americans. He said, I don't know what we need to do or what I need to say, but we need to push to have this happen. And we did. And we had it. We all thought it was caught early because I was diagnosed stage 1.
Right.
So, waking up from the colonoscopy and hearing the GI doctors say, you're very lucky. We found it. It's early. You're in good shape. great. So that's how
So
it
it's
started.
important to have an advocate.
Absolutely. And be your own advocate.
Yes.
You know, I am the type of person that every time I went to my doctor's appointment, I would pull out my book. They would go, all right, Kim, where's your book? Because I would have questions.
Of course.
I'm the type of person that I question a doctor.
Right.
You know, some of our elders don't do that. You know, you don't question a doctor. You don't ask about the details of how someone else passed away in your family or your history. So one of the things I really advocate for is screening family history.
Yes.
And knowing your body. Know when your body is telling you something.
So before when you went to the bathroom and you saw something that just wasn't right, did you have any symptoms?
No.
There was nothing to indicate that anything was wrong.
No symptom.
Now, is that typical?
So with colon and colorectal cancer, you can have symptoms such as a blood discharge. You can have blood in your stools. You can have cramping. You can have digestive issues. You can lose weight. You can gain weight. But also, you can have nothing. So it's just a matter of knowing your body. Like, I had nothing else prior to seeing that. Prior to seeing what landed in the toilet. I just knew it wasn't right.
Yes. So at what age should we start being concerned, being our own advocates?
Absolutely.
Trying to have a colonoscopy. First of all, you need to go to the doctor. That thing of, if I don't know, I'm okay.
Right.
That's not good.
Not true.
So tell us, at what age should we start being concerned as an African American person?
Sure. So the standard testing was 50 years old. For African Americans, it should have been 45. Now the age has dropped to 45. I say for African Americans, we should start at 40. You know, I'm the type of person, I've had mammograms since I was 36 because there were lumps, there were tissues there, and I had concerns. I had fibroids when I was younger. I had tests, I had concerns. So I've always been pretty much an advocate for physicals, talking to your doctors, getting second opinions. Doctors have a lot of patients, but you only have one life. Why not?
Correct.
So
now that you're an advocate at the Alliance, so you tell me, how are you bringing your knowledge forward with someone else that's just beginning this journey? Because I think that any type of illness that you have is a journey.
Absolutely.
And we never know where the journey is going to take us. So you always need an advocate, and you need to be your own advocate, as you just said. So tell me, what are you doing to help other people move forward, whether they're, especially in the African American community or the Black and Brown community?
Black and Brown community.
So tell me, what are you doing?
So one of the things someone encouraged me to be a part of a colander. It was a colander. It's called a colendar, and it was a publication that had men and women diagnosed under the age of 50 with colon or colorectal cancer. So I did that. I got involved with a walk called Get Your Rear in Gear.
Right.
And I didn't realize this, but someone said, a good friend of mine by the name of Verna Cox, who was also a survivor, said to me, "You're an advocate just by people seeing you, because you're female, because you're African American." People, in 2008, 2009, nobody was talking about that in our community. What I learned is that African Americans and Black and Brown communities, we die at a much higher rate. Sometimes because we don't get screened, sometimes because of access to health care. And we can all talk about the racial disparities that exist within the system, the systemic racism that exists within medical situations.
Yes.
I had a friend call me right after Chadwick Boseman died and said she went to the doctors, she had seen blood, and they dismissed her and said it was probably hemorrhoids.
So what did she do? Did she follow up?
I redirected her to another doctor, and now she has an appointment for a colonoscopy.
So since you found all of this out and you are now, a cancer survivor. Now, there are different stages that a lot of people don't quite understand.
Correct.
That some cancers are people are living with cancer. Some people are in remission, and you are a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
So can you kind of help us along with that? Because people need to understand that there's some cancers that it's not necessarily a death wish, that you
Absolutely.
can live with that. So can you kind of give us some of the term, explain so people can understand that you're a survivor, you've passed being in remission.
Right. I am technically cancer-free now. So my oncologist, who's wonderful, Dr. Teitelbaum at University of Penn, would not say I was cancer-free for 5 years.
Okay.
So I was 5 years beyond treatment of chemo and radiation.
Right.
I wanted to say it so badly, like everyone else. I used to say, am I cancer-free? And I was at year 2, 3, and 4. She's like, no, we're not going to say it to 5 years. Stage 1 is an early detection. The tumor is just in that one space. I was restaged to 3 because it had spread into the lymph nodes.
Right.
Once the cancer goes beyond those lymph nodes and travels to other organs in your body, you're stage 4.
Right.
Or they say it has metastasized.
Yes.
But people are living with stage 4 cancer. I'm living with stage 3, even though I am cancer-free, I made it to the other side.
Yes.
So the advances and the technology and the improvements in medication, it's all in our favor.
Right.
The project that I'm working with, the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, is around biomarker testing. Biomarker testing involves knowing the type of tumor you have by testing it based on tests they do to find out the biomarker. And that helps them to determine the type of treatment you need. We are moving closer and closer to genetic treatment that's very specific to your cancer, very specific, saying this type of treatment will work, this one won't work. And for that, we're all the healthier.
Okay. So tell me, what have you said you were a pescatarian.
I am.
Were you a pescatarian prior to? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So for those that don't know what a pescatarian is, as a pescatarian is they don't eat red meats. Their protein is seafood.
Seafood. Mm-hmm.
So what other things did you do to change your diet? Mm-hmm. Other than, you were already a pescatarian.
I was already a pescatarian.
But pescatarians, some have dairy in their diets and things like that. So tell me because Classy and Essential Nutrition, which is our mother company, but Dishing with Patricia is hopefully opening up our dialogue that we could talk about food, we could talk about health. So tell me, what else did you do to change your diet that's going to keep you healthy and that's moving you forward, other than just being a pescatarian? That is a great start. So tell me about your diet. How is that helping you to stay healthy?
Yeah. So if I can just back up just a tad.
Of course.
I became a pescatarian right after I had my last daughter, who will be 25 next month.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was just eating chicken, turkey, and seafood.
Yes.
I gave up to chicken and turkey shortly after I had my daughter.
Right.
And my diet and my health were monumental in my treatment. After I was diagnosed with stage 1 and then restaged to 3, I remember my doctor saying, all right, so cancer tried to hit you with a 1-2 punch. We're about to go 3-4 on cancer. And I was like, what did that mean? What does that mean? He said, chemo, radiation, we're going to go in hard. He said he would not have been able to do that if I was not as healthy as I was.
Right.
So I was in good shape. I was exercising. I was doing African dance. I was on a pescatarian diet. I had no other factors, no other mitigating factors. I had no high cholesterol, no high blood pressure. I was not overweight. So had I had any of those other issues, my treatment plan may not have been as aggressive. And if it had not been as aggressive, maybe I would not have been cancer-free.
But because of how you ate the things that you put in your body, that is what sustained you. That gave you the ability to be able to go through this journey and come out on the other side.
Absolutely.
So tell us about, there's no one in your family. Do you have a family history of this? Or did you, of course, Ancestry.com, now we find out that you had Aunt Sue, that, those types of things. So did you find out anyone in your family having had colorectal?
Cancer?
Yes.
No one had colorectal cancer, but I did find my grandmother, my dad's side, had cervical cancer.
Okay.
Did not find that out until she passed. And that was after I had treatment, and recovered. I grew up at a time where you didn't ask. When people talked about cancer, they said the C word. And I'm a child of the 70s. I stayed out of grown folks' business. You don't ask questions. If you're not being talked to, you shouldn't be in the room. So very respectfully, I learned to have those discussions with my family about how did this person pass away or how did this cousin die. And I found out there is some family history of cancer in both sides of my family. But when I was diagnosed, I did not know that.
So has this altered your lifestyle other than, are you still able to do your African dance? Have you gotten back into that?
Yes and no. I am still eager to do it, but now my age is catching up with me, so it takes me a little longer. I have to stretch a lot longer now, but I still can dance and work out. As far as my diet, I totally gave up milk, and now I'm doing almond milk.
Yes.
I do soy yogurt. I can't eat raw vegetables like I used to. Because after my ileostomy, which was a temporary bag, reversed, I had a bowel resection. So salads, Cheerios, which were like my favorite. Cheerios and salads. I can't eat them like I used to. My vegetables really have to be baked or sauteed. I like raw vegetables, but they don't like me.
You can't give that roughage. Too much fiber. Right. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I do miss it. I've converted to Rice Krispies, but Cheerios and salads were like my favorite. I eat more grits now. Those things they do well. They do well with me. I'm big on salmon, and I like the plant-based burgers now. I like Impossible Burgers. I like Beyond Meat. I like all of those things. I was already a fan of Morningstar products. Yes. But these new products that are coming down the pike, I enjoy. Right.
But even though you are a pescatarian and you're eating some plant-based meat alternatives, you still need to be careful with eating that because they're processed.
They are processed.
So, I mean, I would temper myself.
Yes.
In how often I eat those.
Right.
So if you had to cook, give us a typical meal that you would be making for yourself. Considering that, how you're cooking your vegetables, because we talked about raw, it's not. So how do you typically cook your foods?
So I typically make, I'm a big fan of Brussels sprouts and asparagus. Okay. And I love seasoning them with a little bit of olive oil, some Mrs. Dash, some pepper, and just popping them in the toaster oven. And they're a little crunchy, but they're cooked enough that they don't
I understand.
Create any after effects.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, since you've been on this journey, because I believe that food is medicine.
Absolutely.
And also food is spiritual.
Yes.
So being that you were doing African dance and you're African American, what did you reach out? What did you pull back in on the spiritual aspect of this in your approach into handling what was going on with you? What did you do?
So we celebrate, with my whole family, we celebrate Odun Day. We celebrate Kwanzaa. And I can remember while I was going through chemo, I used to get connected every other Friday. And I was working at the convention center then. So every other Friday I would go, my husband would pick me up, I'd go to University of Penn. I had a port, and I would get connected for chemo. I would be there about 4 hours, and then I would go home with like a fanny pack with the treatment still intact. The treatment remained for 46 hours. A nurse would come to the house on Sunday and disconnect the whole treatment process. The weekend of Odun Day, I asked her to come early so we could go down to Odun Day and just pour libation, give thanks to the ancestors, pray. And that was a really important moment for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, we need to, well, with the pandemic going on, we all know that we've had to change our lifestyles. And I've said to other guests that one of the things I've learned about during this, I want to live. I really want to live.
Yes.
And to be able to live, I need to be able to eat healthy, to be able to take care of my family and to take care of my friends. So what are some of the suggestions that you would like our viewers and our audience to know moving forward with having colorectal cancer?
Sure.
Tell us some things that you want us to take away from this.
So first I want to say, I know that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and colon cancer screening has dropped almost 80 to 90% because of COVID. Colon and colorectal cancer did not go away. It is the third leading cause of death in Black and brown communities. And the fact that we're not getting screened due to COVID means there'll probably be an uptick when we get back.
But they don't have these test kits or anything like that. You don't have to go if you have test kits, correct?
You don't.
So
they do have FIT tests, but the gold standard for detecting colon cancer or colorectal cancer is a colonoscopy. And that's the gold standard because if a polyp is detected, it can be removed before it becomes cancerous. A FIT test won't do that. A FIT test will say you need to get a colonoscopy or you don't. It'll give you that kind of information.
Right.
But the gold standard would be the colonoscopy.
Okay, so what do you suggest that we do?
I suggest that you get a colonoscopy.
Well, we understand that the world is turning around, but
you can do it safely now. I can say that now. I resumed my test. I'm getting a colonoscopy, I think, in 2 months. But things are starting to move forward in the medical field. Before, they didn't want you to come in because of COVID, and it was understandable. But mammograms, colonoscopies, all those things, those forms of cancers did not go away. So I think we should re-engage with those healthy checkups as soon as it's safe to do so. I think we should do it. The other thing I think I want people to take away is that I'm thankful that I'm here. You know, my oldest daughter got married, became a doctor. You know, my youngest daughter graduated and went to grad school. We have 5 grandchildren. I had none in 2008, you know. So I lived to see a lot. And I want to live to see a lot more. So I encourage people to stay on top of your health. The other thing I think that I always try to suggest to people, when someone is diagnosed with a cancer, and doesn't matter what type of cancer, I always feel when people call or they come by and they say, if there's anything I can do, let me know. I don't think the burden of what you can do for that person should be placed on them. I think if you know that person, do it. If you know they're weak and they can't cook, when you make dinner, make an extra pot and drop it off. Leave it on the steps. Call them and say, I'm going to the market. Can I pick you up a couple things? My husband used to say, you know, because people used to call us all the time and say, if there's anything you could do, he'd say, tell them to come mow the lawn. Tell them to come paint the house. And, it just became overwhelming that everyone called and said that. So I think, one, do what you can for somebody. If you know them, send them a gift card. Send them, because there's a lot of financial toxicity involved with having cancer, and you don't know what their situation is.
Yeah.
Send them a meal through Uber Eats.
And to go to the hospital, you have to pay for parking.
You have to pay for parking. And I had great insurance, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say there was a financial component along with this.
Right.
You know, for the checkups and the parkings and the co-pays. All of that is there. And I had insurance. Imagine
Those
now,
that don't have it.
those that don't.
So, as you just said, being an advocate, and you saying that these colonoscopies and of course all the other different tests have just really kind of been on sideline
Right.
because of
COVID.
How do we get on a fast track? How do we get back on a fast track to this? Because we're at a disadvantage.
Yes.
We're Black. We know all the health disparities. So if you had one thing you could say, I want you to do today that's going to make a difference and going to put you back on a fast track that possibly will save your life. What would that one thing be right now?
Get your colonoscopy.
Get your colonoscopy.
Get your colonoscopy. You know, I did an event in 2014 at Warm Daddy's, and it was called the Black and Blues Brunch. And I did the event. It was free. It was for anyone who had been encouraged to get a colonoscopy but didn't get it. And people had a whole list of reasons why they didn't get it. There's rumors and myths out there that if a man gets a colonoscopy, he'll have erectile dysfunction. There's a rumor out there that if you get a colonoscopy, you may no longer, your sexual preference might change. I mean, there's so many untruths out there, along with just not taking care of ourselves, waiting to the last minute till we're on death's door to go get checked out. You know, people say all the time, I would die for my family. Well, I want you to live for your family.
Right.
Live for your family. Do what you need to do. Most of us know when something is not right. We've had the same body since birth.
Yes. I don't understand that either. People, you know, this is on a light side. People say, oh, I don't do my hair. I don't know how to comb my hair. I don't know how to. I'm like, you've had this all of your life. How are you going to not? Exactly. I wish that you would take those same thoughts and efforts that you take to worry about what you're going to put on your body you would do to put what foods you're putting inside.
Same effort that you put on your hair and your nails and your shoes.
Exactly. Put it on what you eat. So is there a website or do you have a number that people can call to get in touch with Yes, please.
So if you go to ccalliance.org, stands for Colorectal Cancer Alliance, ccalliance.org, they have a whole slew of information. You can find out what is colon cancer, what signs to look for, what is biomarker testing, talks about the racial disparities. One of the reasons I joined this organization is because a lot of groups talk about it. But Colon Cancer Alliance is one of the few organizations that's doing something about
that's
it.
Good.
And I'm honored to be a part of it because we all know it exists. All the organizations know about the racial disparities. We all talk about it, but they're actually involved doing something about it. And they hired me and I'm involved in it and I'm there.
So are all of your events now virtual?
Yes, everything is virtual.
Okay,
now.
so if we go on the site, we find some events that we can engage in, some people that may have some questions, and things. But one of the things I want to get back to very quickly, is about, don't they have these? I've seen it on television that these little tests that you get in the mail.
It's called the colon guard.
Yes,
the colon guard.
What about those? Is that helpful? Would that be helpful?
Anything is helpful. Okay. A fit test, a colon guard test, and I don't know the real specifics of, I believe that you take a stool sample and you mail it in.
That's what I was talking about. Right? That's at least safe.
It's something.
It's something. It's something, as you just said. It's something. So I am so happy that you're here today.
I am too.
Normally I have my guest and we have this dialogue, what we're doing now, but I also tend to make a dish and it's all about, and the dish is relatable to what I'm interviewing and what we're talking about. So I made a couple of things that it's geared towards people that have colon rectal cancer.
Excellent.
These are some foods that I suggest that you eat that. It's also cancer prevention.
Yes.
And people don't seem to understand that everything you eat, if you're eating healthy, it helps with, if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, all of the same foods keep you healthy. So if you want to stay with us for a moment, I'd love to fix something.
Absolutely.
And
well, that was part of the lore. I mean, and you know, your wonderful show, but if you say there's food involved.
If I say it's food involved, okay. So guys, I hope you give us a few minutes, and I hope you've enjoyed the show thus far, and we'll be back. Well, welcome back to Dishing with Patricia. So we've already talked about foods that we should be eating that's going to make us healthier, but I would be remiss if I did not mention to you that March is Colorectal Cancer Month. So that alone should get you guys off your sofa and go to you know where, and just make sure you take one of those little kits with you when you go, and make sure you put it in the mail. So I'm going to today give you a demonstration. This is called roasted cauliflower with black sesame seeds. And this is a cruciferous vegetable. Cruciferous vegetables are a family of vegetables that have 5 cancer-fighting agents. That's Brussels sprouts, that's cabbage, that's broccoli, that's spinach. These vegetables really help you. So make sure you have those in your diet, because it'll help you even if you don't have cancer. Eating healthy is the key to what's going to make us through this pandemic. That's the key. We need to learn how to eat healthy, and then just not learn, but put it in your everyday life. So the recipe I'm going to make real simple. I'm not into making anything difficult. I want to be eating within a half hour. So let's get started. What's first is cauliflower. So let me put the cauliflower here. So fresh cauliflower. This is just 1 head of cauliflower. So it should feed like 4 people. But this is just part of your main meal. So I would start with some fresh cauliflower. Next ingredients is oil. And by the way, all of my recipes can be seen on, you can get the recipes off of my website. That's Classy and Essential Nutrition. And this is fresh garlic. And these are red onions. Red onions are good for cancer too.
Great.
All fresh vegetables are good. And most people like, how much vegetables should I have in the course of the day? You should have 2.5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day. Not just fruit, it's fruits and vegetables. 2.5 cups, that's each. Each, yes. So this is cumin, and this is also curry powder. So we're gonna spread this over here too. And this is fresh Celtic. I like to see my my condiments. So just sparingly. I mean, don't be good with the seasoning. Don't just be chinchy. And here is some black sesame seeds. This is going to add some color to this dish. And it's really going to look nice. And then you could smell the turmeric and the curry and the cumin that's coming out of this. This is really going to be good. Really going to be good. And once this is roasted and toasted, it's going to go into an oven, 400 degrees. You can put this in at 375 to 400. If you have a convection oven, put it at 400. So look how easy this was. This is going to go in the oven, and it's going to be ready in 25 minutes. So hold on a second. I'm going to get it out the oven. Hold on. Put this in the oven for you. But as they say, as seen on TV, to save our time, I've already made one. And this is how it looks. This is really hot, other than that. But
It's pretty.
isn't that really pretty? So Kim, I'm going to, by the way, my guest Kim is still here with me. I'm going to let her taste some of it. But once plated, I'm going to also put some toasted hazelnuts on top of this. It's nothing like a good crunch with some vegetables. I'm just going to sprinkle this here on top of here.
Excellent.
And
Thank you.
and bon appetit. But while we're letting Kim taste that and she can comment and let us know what she's thinking about it, I have another dish that I've made for you guys that is all about colorectal cancer month. So you should add beans into your diet. Be very careful about your pastas. Get brown rice pasta. Most pastas nowadays, they're pastas made with quinoa. There's brown rice pasta. There's corn pasta. So there's no reason for you to just have that old regular white pasta in your dish. What do you think about that?
This is delicious. It's crunch. It's flavorful. It's well seasoned, and
You like it?
I've never had cauliflower with this much fun.
Really?
Yeah. Good.
Well, the recipe is on my website, so I hope that you guys look at it. So just excuse my back as I just bring all this stuff forward. And I hope it doesn't look too cluttered to you guys, but this is really a really good dish. And we know that if you took on a Mediterranean diet, they tend to live longer. They don't have diabetes. They don't have high blood pressure. Most of the people that live in the Mediterranean eat healthy diets. And the dish that I'm going to give you now is let's see. It's called Mediterranean baked broccoli and lima beans. It is not your grandmother's lima beans. And it's not the broccoli that your children won't sit and eat. But I'm going to just transfer all these dishes that were here from my prior dish and just kind of move them over so I can tell you about it. Here are the lima beans. They've been soaked. I soaked them overnight. Always, I don't buy canned beans. I buy fresh. I buy beans and I soak them overnight. One of the key things, this is how they look at first, right here. This is how they look. And this is them rehydrated. When you are cooking your beans, cook them for, I'd say 1/3 of the way with just water and a bay leaf or thyme or some other herb. Don't put any salt, don't put anything in there, only the water for 1/3. Then after 1/3, I would put in another saucepan, start building up the flavor. I would then add my onions, celery, carrots, whatever vegetable that you're going to put in your beans. That's when you start adding those on, because it's not going to absorb because of the shell of the bean. So cook your beans initially, the first 1/3, just water and an herb, bay leaf, and then start adding things on. In another saucepan, I would saute my onions, garlic, tomatoes, whatever you want to put in there. And whenever you're adding tomato paste to a dish, don't ever put the tomato paste in your dish while it's boiling. I like to put my tomato paste in with the onions and the peppers because that's building flavor. It is adding, and the acidity level changes too because it's already started to process. Okay, so real quick, I know you guys, it's for time's sake, but this is what I would do. Cook these in. This is the water from it here. So the ingredients is lima beans, broccoli, onions, garlic, carrots, tomato paste, fresh tomatoes. So after the beans have cooked, that 1/3 of the way, add all this stuff in there. Put it in a Dutch oven, or if you have just a pan, a casserole dish that has a lid on it, close it up, put it in the oven for about a half hour. Then the next half hour, take the lid off and allow it to breathe, and because then some of the liquid will start to evaporate and you'll have a really nice dish. The beans won't be soggy, they'll have a little crunch to them, and so will the broccoli. But this is a really easy dish. and you should always incorporate beans into your diet. And just top it off with some because I'm going to top it off with some fresh parsley. For that, when you take it out of the oven, I'm going to show you guys how the dish looks in just 1 second. When I give her some, so just plate it with some fresh parsley, and if you had some mint, it's nothing like having fresh herbs. Remember, if you're cooking with fresh herbs, you should double the ingredients. If they're dry, you don't have to. Look at this. What do you guys think? Can you see it? Look at that. Yes. Look at the lima beans. Look how the tomatoes and the onions and the carrots are now caramelized. When they're caramelized, they're releasing their sugars to it. And this is really going to be good. Would you like to try some of this too?
Try that also.
Okay. All right.
And there's room right here on the plate.
There's room right there on your plate.
I'm going to let it cool.
Yeah, I know. Do you mind if I just show my audience
No,
how this looks? Look at that. This is just a plate full of goodness.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. So I hope you've learned something during this session. That it's important to be your own advocate. Your advocate for yourself, to advocate for others, to advocate for your loved ones, because I'm always saying that we are our brother's keeper. Reach out. Someone may be having a difficult day. They may, as Kim said, call and say, do you need a ride? Let me know what time to pick you up. You don't have to just go there by yourself. You're not alone. So we need to advocate for others. And I hope you're learning some things from Classy and Essential Nutrition with our Dishing with Patricia. So I hope to see you guys next month. Thank you. Bye.